what do you believe people should know about the families that you see and work with on a regular basis?
They're the same as anyone else.
Can we just say that again? Say it to the people in the back. Like,
they're the same as anyone else.
Right.
Doesn't matter where you come from.
Absolutely.
You can still be one paycheck away.
Hi, thank you for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. And I'm a broken record, but I always say this episode is definitely going to be one of those inspiring conversations. But by the end of this episode, I am willing to say you are going to feel the same way. Today, I am joined with Stacey Coldren, Assistant Director of Family Promise of the Harrisburg Capital Region. Her personal mission is to provide the same reassurance, guidance, and hope that she once received to help families find stability, confidence, and a clear path forward. Hey, Stacey.
Hey.
It's nice to have you here with me.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
No, absolutely. I feel like we've had these conversations for a while, but it's just a matter of us actually getting it on the book. So the fact that you're here,
life.
So, honey, life be lifing. That's exactly it. But no, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And like I said, I know that this is going to be one of those that we remember for,
I hope so,
times to come. But one of the things that I always do to get the conversation started is just to kind of get the jitters out, is a rapid fire. This is just a quick icebreaker.
Okay.
I don't want you to overthink anything. It's just this or that. It kind of, are you, okay?
Yes.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
If I'm reading a book, it depends.
Oh, okay. So
I'm the kind of person that if I'm reading a book, I don't want to stop. So I'll be up until 3 o'clock in the morning because it's so good.
Okay.
But if I can have my own way, I'm in bed at 6.
Okay. So morning person if there's no book involved. Yes. Got it. Take that with what you will. All right. Introvert or extrovert?
Introverted extrovert.
So you're an ambivert.
Yes.
Smack that.
Is that what it's called?
That's exactly it.
Yes.
Okay. And now this one, there is literally no wrong answer.
Okay.
Are you going to watch the YouTube or listen to the podcast?
Most likely watch the YouTube. Yeah.
You want to see what you look like?
No,
you don't. You want to just...
I just think it would be better.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. All right. So how you feeling?
A little nervous, but I'm good.
Okay. So they still didn't get out, but you good?
I'm good.
All right. That's what matters.
Let's do this.
Okay. So before we get into your backstory and everything that goes on in your whole journey, I always try my best to get some information just to provide a baseline of the conversation. So we don't know, but we're about to share some of your story and things that you've experienced, but not only your story, what you do for a living and what you've dedicated your life to has really been working with homelessness in particular. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I thought that I would look at national statistics on homelessness in general, what that looks like, and then the makeup of it. So I wanted to just give 2 stats specifically from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for other individuals. And then I want you to tell me, are these statistics feeling like they're in alignment? Do you believe that you recognize this? And then we'll kind of go from there, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, approximately, and this is a staggering number, 259,473 individuals in families with at least one adult and one child experienced homelessness on a single night in January 2024. This is a 39% increase from the previous year, marking the highest record rise among all population groups.
Not surprising.
Not surprising at all?
No, but I feel the number is actually higher.
Really?
I mean, if you think about what HUD standards are, they don't look at certain things that we do for homelessness.
Okay.
So for HUD, you have to be on the street, someone else paying for a hotel, in your car.
Okay.
But they also don't take in the numbers of doubling up. Paying for your own hotel room because you can't save up enough to get out on your own and things like that. So In my view, I think those numbers would be higher if they took into account different perspectives.
Okay. And same with, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember when I was in social services, the whole concept of couch surfing, or like what that means when you're literally, so I think that's the idea of double up.
Yep.
Okay. So you're like going from house to house to house, but you really don't have your own.
Correct.
Okay. So that it's doubling now. Got it.
As long as there's a roof over your head, HUD doesn't consider it homelessness, but even if it's not yours.
Okay. So, and whereas the reality is unless you have your own place that you can go to on a regular basis, like that is homelessness. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wondered. In that same regard, I also saw that Central Pennsylvania mirrors that national trend, and they reported a 12.2% increase. But I think, like you said, those numbers are more than likely higher as well, based upon those same standards. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that doesn't surprise you?
Unfortunately not.
That's crazy.
No.
That felt ridiculously high to me.
It is ridiculously high, unfortunately. But that's the reality of what is.
Absolutely. Now. Absolutely. Okay. So in knowing that, like I said, one of the things that I really try my best to do on this platform is not only look at the topic of conversation for what it is, but I do think that it's in order for individuals to understand inspiring journeys, to understand how a person gets from point A to point D, there's an importance of going back, right? Because a lot of people, when they look at individuals that are assistant directors and directors and they have a certain level of accolades or, accomplishments, there's this dichotomy or this comparison of, well, I can't because, or I'm not able to because this is my situation or this is my circumstance. And they tend to create these, they had to have had this kind of life or that. And they fill in their own narratives on what a journey looks like for someone who gets to certain places, not realizing how similar paths might be and how all of those different parts of you make who you are later on. So you only get to see a snapshot right now. You don't get to know, like, typically what happened beforehand. So I really think that it's important to go back to then discuss who we are today and then where we see ourselves going and like future. So in kind of thinking like that, can we share like some of your story? Like, who is Stacey? Where did you grow up? Like, what does that dynamic look like?
Okay. Are you sure you're ready?
I'm ready.
So like I said, I haven't normally put my two stories together with my past and my family promise experience.
Okay.
I had a good childhood. I grew up in Camp Hale, Lemoyne, West Shore School District.
Okay.
I couldn't complain during my childhood. It wasn't until I was middle school, high school that I realized that my childhood was not of the norm. I had both sides of my family, mom and dad, addiction, alcohol, drug, but I didn't see that. So I very much had a great childhood. I hung out with my grandparents. We traveled.
Right.
But like I said, it was very much when I got older that I realized, oh, yeah, no, that's not normal.
Right.
So, but I mean, I was a good kid.
Yeah.
I had good grades. I did what I had to do.
Absolutely.
So it didn't really affect me in that way.
So isn't it funny how we can almost perceive our childhoods very different, well, in the moment, because adults have a way, and now us as adults, you do the best that you can to, whether it's shelter is the right word, or protect, or kind of keep certain things away in hopes to preserve.
Yeah.
How we don't even take into account, though, that there's still a lagging effect.
Yeah.
Or there are things that happen that maybe aren't able to explain or understand until hindsight, which is always
made 20. So much more sense.
Really?
When I got older.
Okay.
So, yeah, it did.
Okay, so
it's interesting.
How, when you say it made so much more sense, what kind of give a little,
No, it's fine. So, the addiction side
yes
of my family, like I said, I didn't really notice.
Okay.
I was single, only child
Mhm.
for quite a while, and I had amazing
Mhm.
Christmases with my mom and my stepdad, things along that line. Well, stepdad at the time. It was really great.
Yeah.
And then I didn't understand why a couple days later, all of my toys disappeared or were broken. So, so certain things I just didn't understand. I didn't understand the lack of food or, unfortunately to say, burnt spoons. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get that
Got it.
until I was older. There was one moment that I think I had my aha moment.
Okay.
I was in 6th grade making some kind of globe for social studies,
Mhm.
and I asked my parent that I was living with to help me,
Yeah.
and they could not form a coherent sentence. And I think I realized then, I'm not going to ask you for help anymore.
Right.
Something's going on. And then it was just, I did my thing with school
On your
and
own.
on my own. The best that I could, of course.
Right.
When I could ask for help, I did. But I think it made it more apparent at that time that it was not
An area that you could, and it wasn't
Yeah.
something that should technically
Mhm.
be normal.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's in 6th grade.
Mhm.
You now have this moment of, no, I can't ask for help.
Mhm.
I need to figure this out,
Mhm.
which I can only imagine as you keep getting older
Mhm.
and life's happening and things are occurring, do you then continue to keep things from your family? Like, if whether there's something happening in school or different relationships, like, do you come back and try to like have like, where was there an ability to have trust to be able to kind of explain your experiences as you continue to
I don't think that was until I got older.
Okay.
Honestly, high school graduation in there. I had a wonderful friend in middle school, and her family was incredible.
Okay.
And I think I spent most of my time at her house or at church camp with her and her family. So I didn't really notice
because now
I had that avenue out.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I had a childhood.
Right.
And
right.
I loved it, and it was great, but it definitely made more sense as I got older.
Okay. And so when would you say that did your life take a turn? Like
18. Gotta love it, 18.
18. Okay.
18.
So adulthood. We
Yeah.
get to adulthood.
Graduation.
Graduation. Oh, what happened? Graduation and what was
Graduation boom. Well, I graduated from Cedar Cliff,
Mhm.
working full time, had really enjoyed.
Okay.
And then I met the guy.
The guy. We all have one of these.
We have those guys, and I met him, and I was like, "Oh, be still my heart. I love you so much. Let's wreck my life together." Not really, but
I know.
in the end.
And yes, I get it.
So yeah, 18.
Okay.
It started then,
All right.
and it was one thing after another
Okay.
for the next 12 years.
12
Mm-hmm.
years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you meet the guy.
Met the guy.
We all have those moments. I shared mine on this platform, and it's amazing. And I always find it so interesting. And I actually had a conversation with someone that I think there is something to be said about the most intelligent, strong, for the most part, put together individuals, women, how we tend to be drawn to that guy.
Yeah. And I said, I am not going to be my parent. And I said, but oh man, did I just make those mistakes?
Absolutely.
that parent did at the same time.
Right. You're like, I didn't, and yet I did.
So in a different fashion.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I did. I never had addiction, and alcohol, drugs are just not my thing.
That wasn't right.
Which is very surprising with the rest of my story. So yeah.
Fair. So and yeah, because they always say that when you come from a family of such a background, typically you either mirror the behaviors or you do so, like you try so hardly to push away said behaviors that you still find yourself.
That was the push away.
Okay. So you pushed it away. So
I did.
Okay.
I actually remember when I graduated high school, my godmother, she pulled me aside and she gave me the biggest hug and she cried because she did not think that I would ever get to this point because of how my childhood was.
Wow.
So she goes, I am just beyond proud of me for even graduating and the fact that I did so well in school.
Yeah.
And did all the things, theater, cheerleading, track, basketball. Like I did all the things.
Right.
So it was very much a surreal moment. I didn't think of it like that. I was like, well, why wouldn't I graduate?
Right.
That's what people do.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was a big thing.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is you've always been like, I just kept trucking along. I
didn't know anything otherwise. Like, why wouldn't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So while other people are amazed at this is her circumstance, and yet, or in spite of circumstance, to you, it's like, well, this still has to get done.
Yeah.
And why would I not get it done?
Yeah.
And so, and you didn't even.
No, it didn't even dawn on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go there.
Okay.
And I'm going to do my best to try. So the guy comes in. You've already said it, 18. Life turned.
It does.
And you said it was 12 years. Would you mind sharing with us, as much as you want, a snippet of what those 12 years look like?
So, sure.
Okay.
So,
however.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of the words.
Yeah.
Really. So it was beautiful at first. It was
Fairy tale.
Put you on, yes, fairy tale, put you on that pedestal. The world is your oyster. And then I got pregnant at 19 and we're going to kick that step out and we're just going to show you what life truly is, so to speak. Got pregnant at 19. The physical abuse started very, very quickly after that.
After pregnancy?
During pregnancy. As soon as I found out, it was like a switch. Totally on-off switch. But very naive Stacey, 19-year-old Stacey, in love, pregnant, having this beautiful baby, did not realize all the different ways of abuse. I didn't know.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, so you're yelling at a person or you're physically hurting a person. Like, okay, that's abuse. No, there's financial. There's taking you away from your family. There's gaslighting. There's emotional. There's so many things.
The layers.
Yes. And I experienced all of the above.
Okay.
So it was extremely difficult.
Okay.
I mean, granted, like I said, I was with the guy for 12 years. We did have 4 children together.
4 children.
And I love all of my babies, all of my boys.
4 boys.
4 boys, yes.
You are a strong one.
I now have 1 more, but we'll get to that point of the.
Yep. We're going to
go in there.
We're going there.
But I had 4 boys with him. They're my life. They're the reason I live today.
Amen.
But I wasn't. Sorry, this is TMI. I wasn't allowed to not take precautions against having children.
That's not TMI. That is also a form of abuse.
It is, yes.
That's exactly that.
So, because, I mean, if you're taking precautions against pregnancy, you must be doing something wrong.
Right.
So that went hand in hand. I saw a lot of horrible things during those 12 years. But thinking back, my 2 oldest remember, my 2 youngest do not.
No memory.
They're like, Mom, we went to the beach. I'm like, yes, we did. But they didn't realize we went to the beach because there was drug dealers at my house.
Wow.
I've seen.
Again, sheltering, protection.
Yes, but they had no idea. It was a fun day at the beach.
Right.
We did live at the beach. I lived in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
Not my favorite place. But like I said, the abuse of taking away from your family so there's no support.
So literally states
away. Overnight. States away.
Wow.
So it was interesting to say the least, but the abuse was horrible.
Yeah.
Only when drugs were not involved.
Really?
The drugs were involved, there was no abuse.
He's happy.
He was too out of it.
God. Okay.
But yeah, no, there were my youngest contracted MRSA because of open wounds on the guy's baby daddy. I don't know what to call him.
It's fine. We'll just keep calling him the guy.
The guy's open wounds on his arm, and my little one contracted MRSA from a red ant bite. Just something so simple. I mean, we're in the South.
Yeah,
red ants everywhere.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
It is a real thing. And he was just, he was walking. He was doing great. And then 2 weeks in Children's Hospital, learned how to walk again because it went from his ankle to his knee and his bone.
Oh, my God.
It was really bad. But what I didn't realize was I was there at the hospital. My kids were back at the hotel not eating for so many days at a time because I couldn't. I
You
couldn't.
can't manage
I couldn't
both,
leave.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I wasn't allowed to leave. Like we were in lockdown
Right.
in a room
Because of the MRSA. Yeah, it's contagious.
yeah. So, yeah, it was not awesome
Wow.
at all.
Wow.
And it's weird because even though I'm talking about it now, it's like I'm watching a movie.
There's like a level of disconnect.
It is.
Like
that was my life.
But you're like, I can relate to the point of like, I know this happened. I know, but there was a certain level of disconnect that clearly had to occur just for you to, in my opinion, cope. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people say, why don't you just leave? Like, you should just go. Whenever you have children hanging above your head like that,
Absolutely.
I'm going to take your kids. You're never going to amount to anything.
100%.
I'm going to take you out.
Right.
I mean, there was a time, there's this Eminem song. I don't know the name of it now.
Okay. I was going to.
But the dad, the guy, and he taught my oldest at the time this song, and it talked about killing the girlfriend in the song and wrapping her up in a blanket and tossing her over a pier.
And he
taught him how to sing that to me. So there was a lot that amounted to staying for so long. And then just like in 6th grade, I had my aha moment. One day I was just like, no, I'm done.
Okay.
And it took a week of preparation, of sneaking out of where we were living at the time to a neighbor's house to use their phone because I wasn't allowed to have one.
Okay.
It took a week. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I need help. He goes, well, how can I believe you? I said, I have never asked you to come and get me.
Right.
It's always, oh, I'll see you when I get there. It's never come get me.
Because at this point, this is that you're at the end. So that means the end of that 12-year period. So I can only imagine, like you said, with the abuse, you've been taken away. You're more than likely fabricating and lying to a certain point to your family just to protect what you've got going on because
I don't think I've lied so much in my life. I hated it. It was horrible.
You're doing this more so out of survival.
Yeah.
Because the fear, because like you said, and I don't know and that's why I think this conversation is so important because I don't know if people can really understand the depths of fear and the emotional abuse that occurs far greater than the physicality of it all.
Oh, yeah, that was nothing compared to the rest of it.
Correct.
Bruises fade.
They go away.
They do.
But the emotional and the retraining and the wiring of your own brain and the thoughts. Because at times when you hear things, and I can't speak for you, but I know for self, I've gone through certain things. And when I think back of what those conversations were and what happened that I believed it so like greatly. And I'm like, why? But the fear was genuine and it was prevalent.
Yeah.
And it was there because you get glimpses of what feels like, oh no, they are off. And this could happen. And I could see. So I can't imagine where you're like, I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And I need to make it. So, but 12 years of that, and you said you had an aha moment.
I did. It was a Monday. Like I said, I snuck out. I mean, it wasn't really hard to sneak out, so to speak, because he was always on a bender somewhere trying to find money for whatever addiction he was dealing with at that time. So I did. I snuck out. I made the calls. I found a shelter that just opened up in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And then I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's never here. I can sneak out. He won't even know I'm gone until he gets back at night.
Okay.
Well, of course, the day I'm ready to go, it's a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the phone with the shelter. We're planning it because, I mean, I had myself and 4 kids. They needed a bigger vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then he comes in and I'm on the phone.
Oh my God.
So he doesn't realize what I was doing. He didn't know the phone was even still on because I just hung it up. I just put it down. So
Okay.
they heard everything. And then it progressed from there.
Okay.
The shelter called the police.
Mm.
The police did come, but while that time was the in-between, I have no idea how long it actually was in between. He got a knife and locked me in a room.
Oh my God.
And he said that I would not leave that room alive.
Where were your children?
Out in the living room, crying, screaming, they were freaking out.
Right.
And then the police got there, thankfully,
Mhm.
because I don't know what would have happened if they were any later than what they were. Like I said, I don't know the time frame of
Right.
how long this actually was. But I was told that I would not leave that room alive and I would never see my kids again. If he can't see them, I can't see them, that type of
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Understood.
And the police came and it was the, oh my God, my family's leaving. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry, blah, blah. Cue the theatrics of the day.
Absolutely.
But we did. We walked out. It was, December in South Carolina, so it was a little warm.
Yeah.
But we walked out with blankets. I didn't have shoes on. My youngest did not have shoes on.
Wow.
It was bare bones, sleeping on his drug dealer's trailer's floor. So
Right.
it was bad. And I never looked back. That was it.
That was it.
I saw him a couple of times, again, because I was still trained
Mhm.
in that thought. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm so sorry.
His children.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that was that. One time my stepmom was like, I'm going to take your kids. You need to figure it out. And out of love. Like,
No.
I was totally not mad at her.
No. I don't. Yeah.
But she goes, you need to figure it out or I'm going to keep the kids and you can go stay with them then.
Wow.
And I was like, no, thank you. And that was it.
And
then last time I saw him was in court.
Oh my gosh.
No.
And so how did you, so let's fill in some blanks. So you leave with cops, you're in Myrtle Beach,
Mhm.
all of your family's up here. You had called Dad.
I did.
Okay.
Yes. He was working and had the best possible boss at the time. And his boss, actually, his wife and daughter drove from Mechanicsburg all night long to come and get us.
Oh,
and then
wow.
all the way back.
Really?
And I got back December 15th, 2015.
Wow.
Oh, and I'm sorry, December 5th, 2015.
December 5th,
2015. It was my sister's birthday, and she woke up to me. She had no idea I was coming back,
Right.
but I did. Yeah, so,
Okay.
and that was that. And I've been back ever since. So 10 years.
10. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah.
So, okay. So now let's fill in blanks on how you then get involved, because there is some interconnections
Mhm.
of the program that you currently work for
Yeah.
and your past.
Yes.
How does that involvement come into place and what does that look
Yeah.
like? Because now it sounds like you're back
I am.
here.
I am.
You're local.
I am.
It should be
It should be beautiful.
beautiful
Yeah.
fairy tales,
Yes.
and that is the end of that horror.
Yes.
And yet,
No.
right.
So Family Promise and my story intertwined actually before I got back.
Perfect. Okay.
So I was in Family Promise of Harrisburg Capital Region of April of 2015
Okay.
with the boys and the guy.
Got it.
So you would think
Mm-hmm.
I have that safe space.
Right.
And I know, and I knew at that time I should not have left the
Okay.
program.
Got it.
But the guy was like, "Oh, we're gonna move to Florida. This is gonna be great. We should go." I'm like,
Okay.
oh, okay. And that's what you do. You're the loyal
What does he
girlfriend.
want? Right.
Yeah, and you do. And the executive director at the time, she sat me down when I told her we were leaving, and she goes, "You can stay.
Mm.
He doesn't have to stay with you. You can stay."
Right.
And I said, no. I said, I'm going to go.
Okay.
But my time at Family Promise was a pivotal point of unfolding the last couple of months before I actually left.
Oh,
So
okay.
there was no abuse going on at that time of Family Promise. Like, I was not in danger. I was very safe.
Correct.
He never laid my hands on me during those times
Okay.
or anything like that. But that experience made me stronger
Got it.
because I was like, oh, this is the lowest of low.
Right. I'm not in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a different experience for me.
Yeah.
I think of what the norm is.
Right. That's why I was asking.
But yeah, I mean, my kids loved it. It was like a 24/7 sleepover with kids on a school night.
Children's resilience.
They are. It is. They would have no idea.
Absolutely.
Even when we talk about it now, my two youngest don't really remember, but my two oldest do. And they remember birthdays, Easter,
April.
summer camp, and just having food, snacks, and a place to sleep was their biggest excitement of a 9-year-old, a place to sleep. But it was true. That was life.
Especially due to that was your norm at the time. So this small stint before you end up away, it's like, oh no, this is the best. We've got consistent meals. That's not, no worries.
No worries.
We're surrounded in love at this point. There's all types of people that they're around and things that they have going on. And I do love when milestones are celebrated because that just creates a certain sense of what feels like normalcy.
Yeah. And it was very normal. There was no stigma attached. You weren't, oh, that's the homeless people. It wasn't anything like that. We were Stacey and her kids.
Absolutely.
And then the other two families.
And it's funny you say that the executive director, when the guy was trying to say, let's go, says that you can go, because I did also see, so this is like another moment of education in the midst of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Statistically, about 1/3 of like the total like homeless families, give or take, the makeup are a single mother and 2 children is what they said statistically. But that's like what makes and constitutes a family. So in theory, she's looking at you and she's saying, you and your boys are family enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can continue to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I also think she
knew.
Understood.
Right.
She understood. But yeah.
But that went.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the best. I was there for 3 months, and I think that was the safest 3 months of those 12 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was huge
for you.
For me.
Yeah. And you had that memory. So when you do go away and now you're back to the same routine and you're like, here we go again.
And I knew I could be better and live better because I experienced it.
Because you experienced it.
I did, yeah. And so, yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I know that I work for Family Promise and I could show it up every single day and talk about it, but I am literally here because of that experience. I mean, of course, my kids and stuff too, because, I mean, they're my babies.
Right.
But I don't know, without those two huge moments in my life, I don't know where I would be if even here. So. I told you it was going to be deep.
Let me tell you, I almost spoke in Spanish on this thing because there's a saying, like when your hairs go up, like I almost said in Spanish, but like you made my hairs go up when you said that. Like that is to think that and to know this one moment in my life and these kids, those were the two things that drove you to say, I have to keep fighting. I know I can get out of this. I'm good.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you make it back. What did life look like then post finally? Because you did say that you had a moment or whatever.
I did, yes.
Okay, so let's kind of.
So it was hard.
Okay.
It was very hard. A lot of therapy.
Amen to therapy.
7 years
shout
of
out therapy.
I love therapy.
Same. That was great. Shout out.
A lot of therapy. I realized I was trained. And that's when I realized I was trained because I was trained to not look at men except for their feet, like knees down.
Really?
I wasn't allowed to wear women's clothing. So I wore men's t-shirts and men's shorts all the time. And no makeup, no hair, Wasn't allowed to get my hair cut, colored, or anything.
Oh.
And I say allowed, and that sounds horrible, and I know that it does,
No,
but I wasn't allowed to work. So I was 30. So from 18 to 30, like that was my life.
So the moments where like you're really like
those
finding
pivotal
your
moments
self,
of
those
your
pivotal, right?
no.
Okay.
So it was really, really hard to come back into life and to realize what life should be. I remember my one son, he was doing something at school, and it was about calling 911 on strangers, like stranger danger.
Okay.
And if you see someone, call. And he came home, and I think this was a little after I had the moment with my stepmom.
Okay.
And he said, "Mommy, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Sorry?" He said, "I should have called 911 on Daddy, but I didn't." He goes, "I saw you bleed, and I knew. I knew he knew." Like, I was like, "Oh, I sheltered them. They had no idea."
Right.
And he said, "I didn't know that I should call the police on Daddy because Daddy was the bad guy."
Oh my God.
And what do you do when your little guy comes to you? Yeah.
That one got me.
Yeah, that one. So, and now that little guy is 16 years old and like solid, almost 6 foot, 200 pounds. So
Love that.
he is my little baby.
Love that for him.
But yeah, it was extremely difficult.
So
I mean, self-harm, all of the above. It was very hard to retrain my life and go to work and actually appreciate that I could go to work every day.
Right.
I mean, I did, but it was very difficult.
Because you have to now relearn not only living, like for the mundane, everyday, get up, take care, do this, go to work, get a paycheck. You also have to relearn who you are.
Yeah.
What are your own likes and dislikes? How to start to retrain your mindset. And you're also dealing with and please, I'm gonna say the word guilt, but I don't know if there's another word for it on the responses from your
Oh yeah, absolutely.
your children.
Yeah.
Right. So and oh my God. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm having a moment right now.
Yeah. But it was very tough. I lived with my dad and my stepmom and my siblings. So I think there was like 11 of us
in a house,
in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh, okay.
So it was a little tight living, but it was great.
And it was
I
safe.
had my family.
Yes.
And the longest time I didn't. I don't even know if my family even met my 2 youngest really until that moment.
Wow.
My youngest was 2.
Okay.
At the time. So yeah, it was just surreal. I realized I was terrified of men.
How did you not?
Terrified of men.
Okay.
And but I got a job in a retirement home. I was in dining, and of course, kitchen.
Yeah.
Men everywhere.
Everywhere.
It was a very triggering experience until I met one guy.
Okay. Now let's give this guy a different name because we can't.
That's John.
John. Okay.
Now my husband.
Oh, amen.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John. Okay. Go ahead, John, for coming through. Yeah.
Yes. I remember going to the kitchen.
Okay.
And he said something to me, and I looked at him. I looked.
Okay.
And there was no fear.
And you knew.
I knew. I was like, "Oh, you're my person." It took a little while for him to gather that.
Right.
He was single dad, single mom of 4 with a lot of baggage.
Okay.
And so it took a little while.
Yeah.
But no. And now 6 years married and together about 8.
I love that for you.
So now we have 5 boys.
Okay.
Crazy.
Love it.
5 boys. So he brought his kiddo along. And he's incredible. He's not mine by blood, but he is mine. He's a theater nerd just like me.
Just
so
like
creative. We dance and sing. He's just my dude.
Yes.
And blending's hard, but it's rewarding.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. So
I love this.
Yeah. I met John.
Yeah.
And I got my own apartment a little after that. The kids and I were on our own, and then I think I was in the apartment for 2 years, and then we bought our first house.
Amen.
Got married. Never buy a house and get married in the same couple of months. It's horrible.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was very stressful.
But okay, so that's how you, and now, wow. So you're like, I've been going to therapy. I'm relearning things.
Yeah.
I'm years in now, back home.
Mhm.
I've been dealing with things.
Yep.
I've been in a consistent place of employment.
Yes.
You see the guy now, the right guy, the guy that's going to love you and appreciate you and treat you the way that you need to be treated.
Yes.
He has his own history because he comes with single father and his own child. You've got yours. Find an opportunity to blend these families together. You continue to work. You continue to do things, right?
Yeah.
This is like full circle moment at this point.
It's something I never thought I would experience.
I love this for you.
Yeah.
And at this point, let's now talk about cue re-entry and the re-engagement. And now you come back and now you are more than a success story. And you have re-engaged in the same program.
Yes.
That you needed years ago.
Yes.
What does that look like? Oh my gosh. Like,
I know, right? So whenever I got on my feet, Chrissy was still the executive director at the time. And once I got on my feet in the apartment, I reached out just to let her know, hey, I'm okay. I'm out.
I love
because she knew.
Yeah.
Like I said, she knew. And I asked to volunteer. I didn't know how to volunteer. I didn't have money to volunteer. Like,
nor do you need
anything like that. No. And I didn't really know that.
Yeah.
But I asked if there was anything I could do to volunteer time. And I said, I'll speak. I'll do whatever you want. I said, I just want to give back to the program that gave you. Yeah. I wanted to give back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an incredible experience. So why wouldn't I want to be part of something like that?
Absolutely.
So it was a little slow going at first. I did some speaking and then the next executive director came on and then I was asked to do more speaking.
Absolutely.
And then it just went from there and an opportunity came about that there was an actual paid case manager position.
Yes.
And I didn't know if I was that person. I had absolutely no college experience, no experience other than lived experience. And I didn't know if that was going to be enough.
I was going to say, can we just take a moment to say, because this is one of my, and this is a personal pet peeve, and we're going left for a second, but it's because of exactly what you said. I feel like at times we can get so caught up on the accolades and the schooling, the education. And don't get me wrong, there's a level of systems and processes and the ability to understand like emotional intelligence and the way to kind of like deal with individuals that have trauma that I will never take away. Like I have master's degree and then some, but the ability to actually connect with a person, the ability to say, I see you, you're valued. And to be able to say, and I can understand, and even if I may not have all of the same lived experience, there's a place where we can understand one another. Call me crazy, but I feel like that goes so much deeper.
It did. I mean, like I said, the position came open.
Yes.
I applied.
Absolutely.
I got the job.
Yes, you did.
I cried a lot. I did. I got the phone call.
Yeah.
And I started crying because I knew this was my time. Drive back. Granted, I didn't know what that would entail at the time, but I knew that I was all for it.
Okay.
So what was that? 2019.
Yeah,
I think it was when I started.
It was.
So 2019.
Love that for you.
But yeah, so it was a crazy circle.
Okay.
Especially going into the office and then meeting the volunteers and seeing the volunteers that were also in
within programs. Some that were there.
Which was it's so great.
Absolutely.
I mean, they remember my kids.
Wow.
They watched my children grow up.
Right.
Even now being there for 6 years. It's
a family.
It is. It is literally a family.
It's literally living up to its name. It's literally giving the promise of family.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. So now let's talk about the program in and of itself. We're going to give Family Promise their praises as well. Absolutely. Would you like to share like the mission, the vision, and like services that are provided within Family Promise? Because at this point, you're a full-on employee and you are there and it's grown.
It has. It has grown. So our mission and vision is really kind of in the same. It's very intertwined.
Okay.
So when a family comes into the program, we want to give them support that they don't have.
Amen.
So with that mission and vision, it is support,
Yes.
soft skills, skill building,
Mm-hmm.
and it is family. So yes, support, but family. And so we're just along this path with them from homelessness to home, literally from homelessness to home.
I love that.
So that is our mission and vision and our programs. Wow. So it is our 15-year anniversary, which is huge.
Celebrate 15
Yeah.
years.
So 15 years. So
Wow. Very close to. So it was a very much newer program. Okay.
So many intertwining.
And so yes.
So shelter, of course.
Okay.
So we have the shelter program. We have stabilization and diversion with helps with outside of in our community, helping families. Some of our programs, you don't even need to, you could be solo. You don't even have a family at this point.
I love that.
So we have transportation program called Wheels Up.
Okay.
Solution to your transportation problems.
Hey.
Eviction assistance.
Okay.
We call them the UP programs.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ups at the end. So we have Wheels Up for transportation, Catch Up for eviction.
Got it.
And then we have Grow Up, which is for childcare.
Okay.
Heads Up, which is mental health.
Love that.
And then we have some inside programs for just our shelter families that help with funds when they move out, things like that.
Right.
So it has grown
exponentially.
Yes.
I love that.
So there were 2 of us. Now there are 4.
Amen.
And we also have a contractor on the side. We have mental health counselor, and then we're looking for more.
Okay.
We're growing, and we're hoping to open another shelter here soon. Actually in Northern Dauphin. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Expanding.
Yes.
Which allows your ability to continue to impact more families.
It does.
So
yeah.
We got the why and how you re-engage with the program. Now, and as I was saying, working with people like in tough circumstances in general are difficult.
Yes.
Right. And especially because when you are a transient population, when you're someone that, and we can talk about it, like there's so many different reasons why an individual loses their stability.
Yeah.
Right. And that in of itself comes with a myriad of feelings and emotions and mental health and things that come with it, which makes it even more difficult to deal with people because if they're not going to do anything, people are going to people.
People are messy.
And
it just how it is.
And that's how it is.
Yeah.
What keeps you motivated? What keeps you like avoiding burnout for lack of another word?
I will say that I very much did burn out.
Okay.
So I had to find out the hard way.
Can we talk about what burnout looks like? Because that's why I asked. Like, that's a real thing.
Well, I had a lot going on.
Absolutely.
Kids, sports. I went to college. I was graduating. And I was also case manager at the time still. And I have a very hard time drawing the line. Sometimes I'll see a family come in and I'm like, oh, you remind me of me. But that's not me.
Right.
You're you.
Correct.
So I had a really hard time separating Stacey Shelter, Stacey now. So I had that extra little dynamic.
Absolutely.
But I did. I burnt out.
Okay.
It was really bad. I mean, migraines it was a horrible experience.
Right. Like literally physically.
Yeah. I was done.
Okay.
And excuse me. So I now have another executive director. His name's Matt.
Okay.
So he very much understood as best as he could. So there was a point where we lost 2 clients.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they have passed. And I was, this was like all still the wall. Like I was still trying to figure out. And I said, I don't want to work here if I have to be a case manager. I said, it's not that I don't. I said, but I can't. I physically can't. So we were working on getting a case manager. So I was case manager for a little while because he didn't want me to leave. I didn't want to leave.
Right. But you also knew that physically.
But I knew that I couldn't. I couldn't keep that wall properly up for myself and for my clients.
Right.
So soon we did get a case manager. I was able to go up to program manager.
Okay.
So then it was much easier.
Okay.
I didn't have all the same stressors that I did. It was
Absolutely.
easier for me to compartmentalize the families, myself, my job, my outside. It was just much easier.
Absolutely.
Granted, I'm still very close to the families when they come in. They're still Miss Stacy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an open door.
But I still have that very much wall there.
Right.
So that has helped me bloom and blossom
Amen.
into not executive director,
I was going to say
assistant director.
Oh, okay.
We wear many hats, so some days I could be executive director. I mean,
the reality is, and I tell people all the time, when you work in nonprofits, like,
oh my,
one day you can literally be like full suit, leading a training, doing something of this sort, having this kind of conversation, and then you can walk in and all of a sudden you're putting your sleeves up and you're
plunging toilets. We have that experience numerous times.
Absolutely.
I mean, kids like to shove stuff.
They put whatever's in there.
Yeah.
Like, So, okay.
Yeah.
So you did get to a point of burnout.
Yeah.
But because of the fact, so it's actually interesting. We can talk about it for a quick second. The same thing that makes you so relatable and the ability for you to be able to connect and create rapport quickly with families is also the same trigger and the same component that made you burn out, because you can see you. I was going to say I can see me, but it was the same concept. You can see you in every single family that comes in, because there's a certain level of relatability where you're like, I see that. And then have you ever, because I know I went through it, did you ever get to a point where you're like, I want it more than you do?
I did. It was so bad.
Okay.
I did.
And how does,
it was so bad. It was over COVID.
Oh, wow.
So we were shut down, shelter in place over COVID. And there was this one mom there, and I was just feeling for her. But she needed to move on.
Right.
Please don't tell anyone.
No, it's fine. It stays between all of us.
All of us, yeah.
All of us.
I actually did an interview for her.
Oh, wow.
She got the job.
I bet she did. You got the job.
But at that moment, I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
So that was my aha moment there.
Okay. So I'm noticing, if nothing else, at least you are self-aware enough that you're, okay, that was too much.
That was a little too much.
I did too much for this one.
Yeah.
And I need to reel it in. Okay. Which I can understand. I get that. All right. I'm going to ask another question before we start talking future. One of the things that I've taken notice when I was looking into not only the stats for Central Pennsylvania and, statistically when it comes to the U.S. as well, and what families tend to look like, what those typical families kind of consist of. But there's this, I think that while via the U.S. Department and whatever they call homelessness, there is also a stigma.
Oh, yeah.
Attached to homelessness, attached to anything that is something that is outside of what we would consider normal.
Yeah.
There tends to be stigmas around it.
Yes.
So one of the things that I want to ask is, what do you believe people should know about the families that you see and work with on a regular basis?
They're the same as anyone else.
Can we just say that again? Say it to the people in the back. Like,
they're the same as anyone else.
Right.
You would think that the families that come in here into Family Promise, into the shelter, they must just not be working hard enough.
Right.
They don't make enough. They blah, 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 whatever those reasons are. But did you realize or think that the fires that you see on the news, their house is gone?
Hello.
They didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
They still have the job. They have the car. They have the family. They have the funds. They don't have a home.
Right.
So they are now technically homeless. Family Promise. But I mean, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Absolutely.
You can still be one paycheck away.
That's a real thing.
It is.
Because I also, and you talked about it with COVID. During COVID, and I think that that's why we're seeing that upward trend.
Yes.
Because there were also a lot of lost employment, closed businesses, no longer needing things. And there were a lot of also like support that was provided.
There was so much support at that time.
At that time.
Yeah.
But then once, exactly. You took the words like the boom. Like then, and from what I read, it just stopped.
It did. Money ran out.
Money ran out and it just stopped. And so individuals that have gotten to a point where they're like, okay, I'm living like this, but I'm using this to help and I'm still building up. So it's not, and I want to choose my words carefully because at times people think, well, then they were just dependent on, and it's like, it's supplemental and it creates an opportunity to get people back on their feet because you never know, especially when you're living literally check to check to check. There is no rainy day fund. There is no savings. What is that? Once all of that went away, there was a resurgence. And in fact, it went even higher when it came to evictions and the loss of and individuals being unable to maintain. So I was going to ask, like, do you believe, I mean, the answer is we know it's going to be yes, but like in knowing that, like, do you believe that there is a unfair kind of, I'm trying to think of how I want to ask this question. Like, people look at just do this and that and it should all go away. Like, how can we explain to people that these are working families and these are things that are going on? Like, share maybe like one or a story or an experience of like someone, and what does it look like for someone that went through something like this and they were trying, and how can we kind of like show more empathy, I guess?
So, I don't know. That's kind of hard. It's a hard question, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just don't see it the same way.
Okay. Let's talk. Yeah. How do you see it?
I just see people. They're just another person, another family. So it is hard for me to see the negative side of that.
Right.
Because I see them. Right. I see them come in. But I mean, we have families that have everything in place. But they can't find a landlord.
Oh.
Or they have an animal. And then it's a dangerous breed or whatever.
Right.
It's just so
dangerous.
Difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Okay.
So you don't even need to be homeless to face those things. Do you really? No.
Fair. That's just life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
life just sometimes looks different.
Life just sometimes looks different. Girl, that is it right there. So, okay, so what is your vision for the future? Where do the program, both?
Oh, I see myself with Family Promise.
Forever?
Forever, as long as they'll have me.
I love that. I honestly love
I do. Even if it's not with just Family Promise of Harrisburg Capital Region, it can be Family Promise National.
Okay.
I just love Family Promise and what it stands for. As for Family Promise itself, we're going to keep on moving and grooving.
I love it.
Our way of living is changing.
Okay.
So we adjust with that. So what it looks like now might not what it looks like later. We have like that 10-year plan. Right. But the fact that we even have a 10-year plan is incredible.
Amen.
So I don't know if that 10-year plan is going to plan out the exact same way, but we have a plan.
Absolutely. And it's only going to be...
And it's a nonprofit. Thinking that far in advance is incredible.
Amen. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go back to college. I graduated.
Right.
Walked across the stage, got my diploma. My kids were like, "That's Mama."
Love it.
Cried a lot.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to go back to school.
Okay.
I'm learning in different ways in my field, leadership programs, trauma programs, just learning the way that I want to, not necessarily the college route.
Which is okay.
Yeah, it's very okay. It's much less expensive.
Right.
As well. So, but I just want to keep learning.
Okay.
And whatever that looks like.
Amen.
So I don't know.
I'm just not growing.
I'm enjoying this Stacey of what she is developing into. I'm realizing I'm pretty quirky and fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that's not. Yeah. You bring me to my last two questions, and it was actually, I couldn't have asked for a better segue. So one of the things I always like to ask, and it goes back to the conversation, because the Stacey that sits in front of me today, one would never have thought or envisioned that Stacey had 12 years of an abusive relationship, being held in darn near at this point captivity, not able to make decisions on her own reproductive health, which we love every last one of your boys.
Yes, I do.
Not being able to have any financial independence, any kind of independence whatsoever, is now that second hand, the assistant director to this amazing nonprofit, and you're thriving, and you now have the accolades, you've got the degree, you're continuing on with your education within trauma, I'm guessing it's like trauma informed care, things of that nature. And you're moving forward. So what advice would you give someone struggling with their current living and life circumstance, maybe not necessarily exactly what you experienced, but they're struggling with both their living and like the life circumstance that they're going through right now, but feel that they have no place to turn or no recourse?
They're not alone. They might not understand at that time. Even if they try to reach out and try to get help, and it might not be the answer they want to hear, you are still not alone. It takes time, and it's always when it needs to happen. Not when you want it to happen, so to speak, but it happens at the time it needs to.
Girl, that's it right there.
I mean, that's easier said than done, because you want it now. Absolutely. I mean, if you are in that crisis mode, it needs to be now. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work like that.
Right. All right. And then my last question before I start thinking about the takeaways that I have in this conversation, and honey, there's a lot. What advice would you give younger Stacey?
Stay away from the guy. No.
I can't.
No, I don't want to stay away from the guy. I have my 4 babies out of that. That it'll be okay. You're stronger than you think. It's okay to say no. That type of vibe. I mean, thinking back, I would do it all over again.
Wow.
To lead where I'm at now. I would have, because one little change changes your whole trajectory.
Absolutely. Yeah, trajectory. You're right.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
I might not have had the boys that I have now.
Right.
I might not have met John. I might not have the job that I have.
Right.
The life that I have.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, I would do it all again just to end up where I'm at now.
Wow. So regardless of all...
It's who I am. It made me who I am. I have no idea what high school Stacey would have been now. I have no idea.
Had you not gone through. So even though it was 12 years of what it was, all 12 would be repeated, because knowing today that this is the Stacey that we get, those 12 years are imperative to that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they were horrible.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole trauma to unload there.
Right.
But I don't know where my life would be without those moments that made me who I am now.
Oof.
Yeah. And my husband would very much like me saying that.
I can't.
He's my biggest supporter, and he goes, I don't know how you do it.
I agree.
But he's there every step of the way with it. So he sees the ups and the downs, and the then and the now.
And the now, right. Yeah. And I'm so proud that that you allowed yourself to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because I hope you realize how amazing you are.
Well, thank you.
Like, girl.
I don't see that's fun. I don't see myself as amazing or resilient. I did what I had to do. Like, even as a kid to now, what you do. You don't just give up and not.
But there's people who do.
I know.
So
and I just want to hug them all. And they can just come to Family Promise and talk.
But that's what it is. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's why I think these conversations are so important, because our everyday heroes are the ones that move the way you did. That I'm just doing, but what you're doing is leading to something so much bigger than yourself. Like, honestly.
Thank you.
So I'm just giving you your flowers right now, because you already know, and disclaimer, I knew her from way back, but we won't say how or why.
Nope.
For those, if you know, you know.
Yes.
But I have found you inspiring. Then I see the woman that you are today, and I think that you are I am in awe of what you've accomplished and what you continue to do. And I just, like you said, earlier on in this, the world really is your oyster. Like someone who carries the love, the compassion, and the care that you do, like you're going to make an impact.
I hope so.
And you are. Like you are living my favorite quote, which is you are being the change that you hope to see in the world.
I love that.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely in awe of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like you need to hear that.
It's weird.
And
It's a compliment I'm not used to hearing.
well, you need to,
I don't take compliments well in general, but it's thank you.
yes,
I appreciate it.
accept it.
I'm trying.
I got you. All right. So now I have to think about, let's go to my key takeaways. So here we go. My first key takeaway, it's the way that you were when you were a child. So it is, even when life shows you that you can't maybe ask for help, or you feel like you can't ask for help from the ones that you feel like you should be able to, you still found support somewhere. So find support, find your village, find a place, a person, a confidant that you are able to experience life with and protect yourself. That was one of my key takeaways. She found what was lacking in her familiar dynamic and found it somewhere else to allow for a sense of normalcy for self. My second key takeaway is that by nature, the human mind is beyond amazing. It will protect you. It will allow you to be able to move through and pass whatever circumstance you have going on. And then later on, when you're out of it, it almost feels like you are watching a movie playing back because it protected you within that moment, that you were able to kind of pull away from that. So protect your brain, basically, is that key takeaway. Like ensure that you understand that like it is an amazing thing that just protects you. My third key takeaway, and this goes back to she said it a few times, pay attention to those aha moments. They show up, and it's in those moments where you have to collect inventory and recognize this is a pivotal moment, and I need to act. I need to do. So when those moments happen in your life, pay attention to it and respond accordingly. And then my final key takeaway, and I'm trying to find a way to bring like family promise into it, but one of the things that I find beautiful is that when Stacey was able to find a promise of family, and found that support that she was seeking at the time that she needed it, when her life got, for lack of a better word, right, she went back and she found an opportunity to give back because she recognized the blessings that she had been given, and she wanted to be that change and go back to help others. Now, that might look different depending on your situation and circumstance, but always be willing to give back. We need to go back to the days of each one help one. So when you are given a blessing, when you are given an opportunity, when someone shows up for you and you find yourself on the other side of whatever situation or circumstance it is, go back, give back, and be a blessing to someone else. And it is in that I believe that real change happens. So those are going to be my key takeaways today. There's so many others, but I just feel like those are the ones that were very clear and like apparent in your journey. And I think that there are things that we can really like implement and take away from now and find opportunities to use as we continue to go forward. And I'm just going to do another disclaimer because this one was definitely a heavier conversation. So if you or someone you know is dealing with anything, whether it's abuse or homelessness or addiction, ask for help. There are services that are available for you. Please do so the way that she did, in a way that is going to ensure safety and in a way to ensure your ability to get away, whatever that looks like. But I just felt the need to also say that help is available. Yeah, I know you know services, so like, do you want to just give like the number for like our local area, or is 411 still a thing?
I believe that it's changed. I know
Okay.
211.
211. Okay.
211 has a plethora
Of
of
services. And then you always have 911.
yes, absolutely. But 211 is very local, and they will localize where you're at and to get where you need to go.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there. I felt the need to just say something because I think it's important that when we have these kinds of conversations that we also show support and remind us that there is help. And so always be able to do that. Any events? I know it's the 15-year. Any events you want to share? Let's share some things.
So we have our 3rd annual Fam Jam coming up in a week. So I'm not sure when this actually airs, if it's going to be that time frame or not.
Yep.
But we are also going into our 15-year anniversary capital campaign. Yay. So there's a lot going on. So just make sure you keep a lookout.
Okay. Do you want to give any websites, any things that you want to share for them to look out
so we are making our imprint on, of course, LinkedIn. We tried TikTok. Whoop, whoop.
Yay.
Facebook.
Okay.
Family Promise HCR. Okay. And then, of course, on our website, familypromisehcr.org.
All right. So you guys got that there. So again, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you sharing your heart, sharing your story, sharing your resilience, because girl, you got it oozing out of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then as always, guys, sending light, sending love. Bye.
Bye, guys.